Hey folks, it is I, Mallory, and we are live. I am using Google directly because my subscription for the multicast streaming software I was using before expired, and I can't bring myself to spend my $800 for something that it's so basic. Why am I paying $800 for it? So instead, I'm just streaming directly through Google. And before next week, I'll find some sort of new solution. I might even just grab a free off the shelf tool and use that instead. One of the downsides, like the free tools to do streaming, is you can't see the comments. I really like seeing your comments. I mean, it's the whole point, right? So I'm working on it. But I just realized there's a towel and a plate back there. Anyway, um, pardon me, I'm a little raspy today. But if I haven't streamed in the last little bit because I've been kind of like working through a bunch of things, and I haven't like had anything like that I think is super interesting to talk about. So as crazy as it sounds, instead of just like yammering about nothing, I decided to wait until I had interesting things to talk about, and now I do. Um, a couple of the things that are going on that I think are pretty neat are, well, noteworthy at least, is that the EU legislation is going forward. We're on August 2nd. You have to disclose if there are AI deepfakes in any content you post online, whether it's an ad, whether it's a TikTok, whatever. If it's got a deep fake in it, you have to label it. And the EU law lists a deep fake as anything with a person that someone could believe is human. So you don't have to be deep faking a specific person. You could just have like a random AI generated dude. And if he looks real, it's a deep fake and you need to flag it. So that happens on goes into effect on August 2nd. And then in addition, Hawaii just made their legislation law. And their legislation is more focused around deceptive advertising, but it's the same sort of thing. They want you to label if you're using AI people in your ad. They added a civil option. So New York's law against that makes you have to label if you have an AI in an ad is only enforceable by their attorney general. But the Hawaii one allows civil um, recourses to be taken, and it is signed into law there now too. And California's working on a similar law, and it's likely to become law this year based on where it's going. It's passed the committee, it's passed their Senate. I think it just needs like one final amended vote on everything, and then it goes off to their governor. So definitely some stuff to keep in mind if you are using AI images and ads. It's mostly around just disclosing that you do. And Facebook even has a checkbox for that now, where you can just like check off the checkbox and then it puts the disclosure in there for you. Um, and I suspect that Facebook is going to handle that for all jurisdictions. The EU one is the most interesting because the EU doesn't care if it's an ad; they care at all, and it has to be like on the image. There has to be like a little made with AI logo on the image. They haven't, to my knowledge, released their exact guidance on what that's supposed to look like. So we'll have to figure that out. Hey, Jill and Amy, how are you doing? I'm glad some folks are here because I've never streamed directly through YouTube system before, and usually I stream to more than one place on YouTube, but now I'm just streaming to one, so it's a little bit different. So actually, I just wonder, can I share my screen? Oh, good, I can share my screen. I wasn't certain if I could for a second there. So I've been doing um, a bunch of work lately on GEO. Hey, Dennis. And of course, for those of you who don't have all of these acronyms fully memorized, GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. It can actually also stand for General Entity Optimization, and both of them are kind of similar. Um, they basically have to do with like making your website really easy for machines to read it. And I've been working on that a bunch because I think it's really important. Because as it turns out, we've probably crossed the threshold where people search with AI more than they search with regular search tools. And so that encompasses a couple different things. Like a lot of people will just like ask Chat or Claude or Grok or something like that, like, "Hey, is XYZ a thing?" Or, "Can you do some research on ABC or find me, all the results from Reddit on this particular topic," or something like that. That's only like 25 or so percent of all searches. But the other thing that's, of course, interesting is that Google results are now surface AI results first. But Google has said that they don't actually have a separate AI search index. Their Gemini just actually reads the regular Google search index, and it actually finds what it thinks are the best results and then formulates an answer based off that. And Google itself has said that simply structuring your website well, like so the machines can read it, doesn't affect how well you rank in search. But it does affect whether or not you get rich snippets in search. And of course, rich snippets are when you might see like multiple links for different pages on a website when you search for it, or showing up in shopping results and all that sort of thing. So structured data enhances how well you come through as far as Google is concerned, but doesn't affect your searchability. But on the flip side, if you have like more basic crawlers like Perplexity or Tavily, which are actually search engines not made for humans to use. Perplexity and Tavily are search engines made for AIs to use. Like humans are not intended to ever be the consumers of the results from these search engines. They are AI search engines. Like it's kind of wild. We've moved to the point already where there's infrastructure that exists solely for AIs to use to have a better internet experience for them. um, but those search engines rely a lot, of course, on on what am I trying to say here? Those they rely a lot on a well structured website to understand what's there. I'm going to show you guys some examples of what different things look like. Let me do my share. There. So this is my website, aeon14.com, and if I view the source of this website, here we are, view page source. This is what the source of the website looks like. It's it's mostly what's called JavaScript. They're all different JavaScript things. This is all like the fonts that are being loaded. There's a lot of gunk in here, and in fact, oh my goodness, are we actually going to get to the actual structure of the site anywhere in here? A little bit. Some of the stuff actually is a structure, but anyway, without belaboring the point, you can see here that there's a lot of stuff that actually isn't actually the content of the website, and in many regards, the actual content of this website isn't here. Um, what we see on screen here is loaded in dynamically after the fact. So when a machine goes to load the website, it doesn't see all of this wonderful content I've put on here, my different books and series and latest release. That it just basically sees a bunch of JavaScript that it can't execute, that would actually then later on load the website. So that's one of the big problems. Is a lot of things with a lot of websites is that there isn't that structured data. So what I'm working on is how to make it so that you can have that structured data visible to the machines. And this benefits both regular search engine optimization and the AIs, because Google also is not going to execute the JavaScript. It's just going to see what it can see right on the website. It strips all of that JavaScript out, and then whatever's left is what it assumes is on the website. By contrast, so what I'm working on is a way to make a super basic website, but not too basic. Like still has like lead man, like newsletter sign up and all that stuff on it, but a website that is actually everything is static. So the website is actually fully generated, and every page exists fully created, so that when a machine reads it, everything is already there. Nothing is loaded dynamically. Nothing sort of comes in after the fact, and the search engine tools and the AI tools can read the whole thing and get all the data they want right away. And if we look at the source for this website, what we'll actually see is that the majority of there's some website, there's some styling that's in here, but the majority of it is actually this structured data behind the scenes for the machines to read. Like it has like the work examples, the book, it's an ebook, the book, it's a paperback. Here's the ISBN of the paperback. Here's where to get it. It's in stock, that sort of thing, because that drives all of this more rich data that you get in search results. And we can see that, like, if I go search for Google, I can just type it in. No, don't actually go to my website. I just want to search for Aeon 14. I love going to my website too. There we go. So what we get here when I search for Aeon 14 is this nice structured list of results. And that's because my website is organized in such a way that the AIs can read it. And that's really important. And more important all the time, actually. And if I go to shopping, it's actually going to have all these different results. And that's, of course, none of these are from my website, of course, but you can tell like all these rich results, these prices and everything are actually because behind the scenes, whoever's listing these things has structured data as well. Um, and then I could do images. And this is probably going to pull some of them from my website, some of them from not. I guess they're from all over the place, actually. Wow, people are selling my books on eBay. I don't know how I feel about that. Good, I guess. Anyway, so that sort of rich result, though, getting this kind of stuff in here is all because of like a website that's well structured for the AIs to read. So you're of course looking at this thinking like, Mal, I have like zero desire to spend a bunch of time modifying my website to do this. Or maybe you do actually. You're like, sign me up. I want to do cool shit with my website. Um, so the thing I've been working on, because apparently this is just what I always do now. Let me go to the correct website here. Is a way to actually build a really basic website that is 100% readable for AIs. Yeah, very important for direct sales, Dennis. Yeah, I haven't branched out into like, can I actually replicate Shopify yet? So part of what, so long story, well, not exactly long story short. So part of the story is that starting, Jill and I picked a date and now I forget it. She's walking to the office right now. I think it's going to start um, on the 18th, August 18th. We're starting a class on how to do all this work on your website and on your direct sales website. So how to make it work with WordPress, Wix, Shopify, Square, or do your own custom website that can do it all as well. So all of the above are coming through. So this I've got some more styling to do in my basic themes I'm putting together. But you'll have like, your series listing, you're coming through soon. There's actually like a slideshow on the front that automatically picks up the most recent release and the next coming um the next coming soon book. There's an about page, series listing page, and then every book, of course, has a page as well for getting it. The goal here, though, is like not to make this be like a super fancy website on the outset. Is that to get this website, you go to your AI and you say like, "Hey, Chat," or "Hey, Claude," or "Hey, whoever. Here's this repository that Mal has put up of the website template system that also has the whole building structure and actually builds the whole website. Um, can you go and pull this down and build a website for me?" So you can basically write it one paragraph and just basically say like, here's who I am. I'm this author. Here's the books I want on the website. Or you could say like, put all my books on the website. In this particular example, I just picked 2 series, so I didn't have to put everything on there. Go out and find all my blurbs, my covers, my buy links, my bio, everything off of like fan sites or Amazon or Goodreads or whatever, and build the website. And you can literally walk away, and it will then go and build the website. It'll put it up onto GitHub, and then you can connect it with like Cloudflare, which is a website. Cloudflare actually powers half the, well, I think 20% of the internet at this point. But they have a whole system for hosting websites for free called Cloudflare Pages. So the AI can walk you through the very basic steps of making it so your website's actually hosted for free on Cloudflare. And the place where your code goes to be stored on the internet that then Cloudflare pulls from to build a website is also free. Like your only cost is talking to Chat to say, "Hey, build me this website." And then when you have a new book come out, what do you have to do? "Hey, Chat, can you update my website with this new book that just came out? Here's the cover and the blurb." And it will go out. It will go and add that book to your website, and then it will publish automatically. You don't have to do anything anymore other than just say to your chat of choice, "This now exists." And this I feel like is like, whether people like AI or not, I feel like this is one of the best uses ever of AI, because this is drudgery, right? Like this is menial tasks. And one of the things that's in here too, and this is like a little complex. You don't actually have to do this, but let's say you're a control freak and you're like, "Oh, Chat, you made some mistakes. I need to go and fix that." You just go to where your website, well, the code for your website is. It's on GitHub, free. Go to source, and we go content, and we go books, and in here is a folder for every single book, and I can click on this index.md file, and here's all the information for the book. I'm like, oh, the blurb's a little bit wrong. I'll just go in here and edit my blurb, commit changes, and I'm obviously not going to do that. And when you commit those changes, it publishes your website, which I think is freaking amazing, right? And then the other thing that, or you could just tell chat to do it. Like, you don't have to do that manually yourself if you don't want to. That's just sort of showing for the control freaks out there, like me, how you could do that yourself. But like, chat can absolutely do it. And then the other super cool thing is, when we do the class in August, I'm gonna have a lot more detailed walk through this. I kind of want to show you. This is on Cloudflare's pages system, the different editions of this website. So every time and every single one of these deployments to production, and you can even have like a staging website if you want to get carried away and stuff like that. But I'm just rolling this with production. I think for most of us, that's gonna be fine. You're like, oh shoot, we screwed something up. I don't know what it was. Everything's broken. I have time to fix it. I can just say like, roll back to this deployment, and just roll my website back to how it was at a certain point just by clicking that link, and it's just done. The other wild thing too. So one of the things that AI's search really likes, like Google considers this to be ridiculously important, is how fast is your website? How long does it take your website to load all the things? And when you're looking at like a website, like a Wix hosted website, WordPress is gonna be like this, Shopify is like this. There's a lot of crap in here that loads. Like every single one of these things is actually like something the browser has to go off and load. Every single one of these lines, it's got to go off and load another thing. It's got to load all the fonts that are used in here. There's all the fonts it's got to load. It's got more things in here. Actually, this is a bunch of this is actually the cloud, the site itself. But anyway, like it's got to load a lot of things. With this static website system I've built, it loads the web page and the images, and that's it. It loads instantly. Like you'll see, like as I browse around this website, everything happens immediately. The page is fully done rendering in under a second every single time, and that matters a ton for search engines. Search engines really want your website to be fast because they don't want to be directing people to slow ass websites that take forever to load. And like as you see, like this website is ridiculously snappy, and it took like literally 5 minutes of my time for it to exist. Well, I guess 10 minutes because I had to like go into Cloudflare and say like, hey, I want to do this thing. So yeah, super fast. Amy says also great for us perfectionists with OCD vibes. It could keep us for hours, spending hours tweaking tiny details. Yes, it really can. But then that's one of the reasons why I'm going with a really simple template. Like it's like there aren't too many knobs to turn, so you don't get lost turning them all. And then the universe definitely hates slow ass websites. But yeah, and then when you want to change, you don't have to do anything. You just say to the AI, go off and make the change. So I think that's a really big feature of this. And I'm eventually going to offer it to everybody in the universe for free, but initially it's just going to be people taking the class. They're going to get it initially for free, and it's going to be part of our school. So if you're in our school, you just get this as a new thing. But I'm super excited about it because, like, as authors, we get nickeled and dimed, right? We have a lot of subscriptions, and I say this as a person who offers subscription products. I'm sorry, but I also want to try and offset that by offering free things to help you reduce subscriptions. So I think that's a huge part of this, that like it doesn't cost you anything other than your Chat GPT subscription or Claude subscription to put it together. And Claude can do this in about 20 to 30 minutes. And that's with it going off to find everything. If I had everything put together for it in a spreadsheet, it'd be way faster. It only takes longer because like about half an hour because I told it just like, I'm lazy, go out and find all the shit. And it did it. It was phenomenal. I'm ridiculously happy about how well it worked. So that's coming. That's going to be in the class we're starting August 18th. I'll have this all buttoned down with a couple different templates. And the other really cool thing too is it comes with a skill for the AI. So you don't have to explain to the AI how to do this. There's a README that explains how it all works, the AI, plus a skill that tells the AI how to go out and find all your stuff on the internet, what to put in, what not to put in, all that jazz. and it just becomes something that you don't have to really think about that much anymore. I'm strongly considering like building a an email system like this as well, where you could actually do everything via AI. You could just say like, "Hey Claude, we're doing a new newsletter," and then Claude goes and sets it all up for you, whatever. But that's later on. Um, and again, my goal is to reduce the drudgery that we have with a lot of our stuff as authors, and also reduce costs on all these little ancillary subscriptions, because um, they've determined recently, a study came out and determined that the average US household underestimates how much money they spend on subscription services by a factor of two. So you're spending twice as much on subscriptions as you think you are, because they're insidious and you forget about certain ones. Just like me today, realizing that my regular streaming software was up for renewal and they wanted $800 for me to do that. And I'm like, no, I am streaming through YouTube. And I haven't reached as many people because it's not streaming to as many places, but I will fix that. I actually said to Claude, like, how hard would it be to build one of these myself? And Claude's like, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. So this is definitely a new era that we're entering into. Um, as far as code's concerned. So there's this thing called the Jevons paradox. And it's not actually a paradox, but that's what it's called. It's called the Jevons paradox. And the it came out of England in before the locomotive was created. I forget exactly when, but England was running out of coal. They were worried, like, oh my goodness, we're going to run out of coal. This is a huge problem. And this guy named Jevons identified it, and all the naysayers were like, no, we're not going to run out of coal because we've just invented this other guy just invented this new, way more efficient steam engine that takes like way less coal. And foreshadowing, England ran out of coal. And the reason why, of course, was that once they made a more efficient steam engine, well, then you make more. So once you make more, well, the motor, once you make a more efficient steam motor, well, now you can make more things with it. And of course, then locomotives appeared, and everything appeared, and the coal was thusly burned. Um, but that's sort of interesting with code. Like, until recently, code has been expensive. You need a software developer who has spent years of training. You need management teams. You need UX teams doing the design. You need, like, every line of code was pretty expensive to produce. Now code is becoming trivially inexpensive to produce, and so, like, we might be entering into this whole, like, basically a new revolution around code, where none of us need to buy software for anything anymore. If we don't want to, we could just have an AI make the software for us. And of course, one of the things I think is really interesting that I don't think a lot of authors know about, but software developers for some time now have decided that all software should be free. They still have to work for capitalistic companies to produce a lot of the software, produce work to pay the bills. But GitHub, which I briefly showed, basically is a free repository for, like, more software than you could ever possibly imagine. And every major operating system now actually relies on free software made by individuals who maintain it on their own. Like, the entire SSL system that makes you have like HTTPS, and you get the little lock beside the URL to show that it's secure, maintained for free by volunteers. Which I think is actually part of the reason why software developers were also just like, well, we should just like take all the books in the world and read them to train our AIs, because they already do that amongst themselves. They freely share things. They actually license software in such a way that it's not copyrighted. They have very much moved away from the concept of copyright, and the whole idea is like information and ability and knowledge should be free, and everybody should be able to build on it and do new and shiny things with it. Um, so so that's the thing. Why you use Ghost? What is Ghost? I'm curious. I've never heard of this, Emily. Amy. I'm fascinated. Sorry, I almost said Emily there. I don't know why. Um, but anyway, it's good. I think we're going to reach a point where you're like, hey, I want to do a thing. Chat, Claude, whatever. Is there free software to do this thing? And they'll be like, yep, here it is. And here's like 73 different options rated by the users for how good they are, because making software is about to become so cheap that we'll just be able to do it all ourselves. It's going to be really interesting. The downside, of course, is that um, it's changing the monetization structure of the internet, because websites no longer can get ad revenue, because none of us are seeing ads. We're interacting with AIs. So that's going to be a big shift, right? How do we monetize? How does the internet function how do websites and the exchange of information function when there's no money in it. You know, that's going to be a, a wild thing. And some people are despairing, but I'm almost like, you know, in a way, it kind of reminds me of the internet as it was back in the late '90s when everybody was just putting up websites for free. No one was trying to advertise on them. We were just like excited to be able to share information with other people, and I kind of wonder if that's going to happen. And that's one of the reasons, like as an author, I'm not worried about AI consumption of my website because all I care about my webs for my website is to put it in people's hands, like get the information in people's hands. I don't need to run ads on it to make revenue. The goal is to share information so that people buy my books. But Amy, what is Ghost? I'm unfamiliar with it. It sounds amazing because you said so. What is it? I am fascinated. Oh, source open source platforms from publishing blogs, newsletters, lets you monetize, allows free and paid paywalls, use free pencil buy. Oh, sweet. So it's basically free Patreon from the sounds of it. Okay, yeah, we are on the same wavelength. That is super cool. I'm gonna look into that. Because I'm all about authors not using these annoying systems anymore. And Patreon has been coming down on a lot of content over the years. Um, so making it harder to monetize if you write certain things. So running your own shit. I mean, the other day my daughter said to me, "I don't want to use. We're thinking about moving away from Discord because Discord has become kind of overbearing, and let me bring it up, and they've been banning a lot of people for various reasons and stuff like that. So I made a Discord clone in 2 days, and like it's probably it's kind of themed in themed to be rather dark, but you've got like servers. Each server has channels. You can add more channels. You can make them private channels. You've got like an invite system to invite people into your server. If people are online, you can see them, and then you can DM other people if they're online. This is obviously super basic. There's no one in this particular server, but yeah, like I didn't want to have to use Discord. Built that in an afternoon, and I can run it on a random $70 computer that I grabbed on eBay in my house, and even there's ways to make it so that people can securely link into that without accessing the rest of my network. It's actually like they're trivial now to do that sort of thing, and boom, it's all done. It's pretty wild. Emmy says, I'm working with a template developer, making one specifically for indie authors. If you want to weigh in on that, it'd be amazing. Yeah. If you want to reach out, Amy, via Messenger is probably the best way to grab me. I'd be happy to take a look at it once you have it up and running and give any thoughts or feedback. Um, so yeah, and I really want to see if I can work out a way to allow authors to run free e-commerce websites, or like at most $5 a month that you would need to pay to have an e-commerce website, because I think that it shouldn't be that hard. The other thing in there is that like anybody can set up a Stripe account these days, as long as you have like an actual business that you've made and you can provide them with your documentation for your business. You can make a Stripe account, and Stripe is what handles the credit card processing for like half the planet at this point. Um, I just have to double check if you can make Stripe accounts for selling ebooks. If Stripe will let you do that as like a regular person. Like I know big retailers have arrangements that allow them to do stuff like that, but there's certain classes of products you can't sell as a regular person. So, but I might be able to do that, because if I could like make it so that this basic website I put together is also connected with Stripe, you know, it would just be like something where when you're on those book pages, you just click buy, and sends the person to Stripe to complete the transaction, then sends it back to the website saying like, hey, they completed the transaction, huzzah. And you get the money, and you pay 3% to Stripe, and that's it, right? Wouldn't that be amazing if we could get to that point? So anyway, that's kind of my hope, is to get somewhere like that. That's what I'm working on. I guess I'm just working on making it so that authors, we don't have to pay for shit anymore. Is kind of my goal. But yeah, so I guess that's basically everything I want to talk about today. I'm gonna have more updates on the various AI laws next week, just where they all are, because I want to sort of see how the Hawaii one settles, and then wait for the EU to sort of get everything fully buttoned up for their new AI law that they're rolling out. Canada and the UK, their AI laws right now are all still 100% based on deceptive advertising practices. So they've done nothing new for AI. It's just like if you're doing deceptive advertising, then you can get dinged for that. But there's no special carve outs for AI. It's just don't be a douchebag. Um, so we'll see where that goes. But I am going to wrap here because I need to get back to work. I've got a lot to do. So I've got to build new streaming software for next week, so I don't have to pay someone else for that, as well. So I will see you folks in the future. Have a good one.